Welcome to Reformed Thinking, your shortcut to becoming well-informed.
Where we dig into complex ideas, aiming for insights that are surprising but also really practical.
Exactly. And today we're diving into, well, a pretty compelling question. It's something Christians, especially in the Reformed tradition, have thought about for centuries.
Right. A tradition that really emphasizes God's sovereignty, his guiding hand in everything, and how we rely on him.
So the question is this: how do we rightly use the blessings, the practical things of this life?
Without letting them sidetrack us from our true purpose.
Yeah. We've gathered some really insightful sources. We're drawing quite a bit from the classical theologian John Calvin.
Trying to uncover what it really means to live according to God's design, the world that's full of things.
Our goal today, our mission, is to get some clarity on handling the everyday stuff.
Like food, clothing.
Right, even our jobs or occupations. How do these practical bits fit into a larger life that honors God?
By the end of this deep dive, you should have some solid principles.
Yeah, principles for finding a balanced approach, maybe avoiding some common pitfalls.
And hopefully finding some genuine contentment, some real direction in what you do day to day.
This isn't just, theory. It's meant to be a kind of blueprint for your daily choices.
In the material we're looking at today, it really does give a pretty comprehensive framework for Christian living.
Drawn heavily from Scripture.
Absolutely. And it tries to strike a careful balance. It doesn't shy away from the tough stuff like temptations or mistakes.
It offers guidance, but also, well, comfort for believers.
Yeah, well, look at how this older wisdom and timeless scriptural rules come together to shape a faith that's active, vibrant.
It's more than just rules, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's really a different way of seeing the world and your place in it, if I may. The divine measure for earthly life. A balanced path for God's gifts.
Okay, so let's start with this core idea. For God's people, this present life, it's like a pilgrimage.
A journey.
Exactly. Think of yourself as a traveler. You're moving across a landscape, heading towards a heavenly city.
That mindset, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How you view the physical world around you.
It really does. It means everything we encounter, everything we use here. It should either help us on our way,
or at least not hold us back, not hinder us.
Right. We need to make sure our temporary comforts don't become like permanent anchors, things that pull us off course.
Paul talks about this in 1 Corinthians.
He does. He advises us to use this world as if not using it.
Which doesn't mean ignoring it or pretending it's not there.
No, not at all. It's more about holding its pleasures, its possessions lightly, with a kind of detachment.
So whether you're buying something or selling.
Or celebrating, or
Yeah.
even mourning, it suggests this awareness that these experiences are, well, passing. Transient.
They're meant to serve a greater, a more lasting purpose.
Yeah. So maybe you buy a new shirt or invest in a house. It's not that the thing itself is the ultimate goal.
Right. You recognize its usefulness, its utility, but within this temporary life.
What seems really key here is how this perspective just reorients your whole engagement with material things.
Remembering that the ultimate goal isn't in this world.
But through it, on the way to something much greater.
And, what often gets missed and what our sources really highlight
Yeah.
is that this pilgrimage mindset, it doesn't mean a life without any delight. Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, it pushes back against that common idea that, godliness means just scraping by bare minimum survival.
Like that inhuman philosophy Calvin mentioned.
Exactly. The kind that would limit using God's creation just to what's strictly necessary, like only plain bread and water.
But the sources say that's not right.
No. They clarify God created things for our good, for our benefit, not to trip us up or undo us.
So he actually intends for us to find delight and good cheer beyond just necessity.
That's what they argue. Think about it. The richness of life.
Yeah.
Food, for example.
Yeah, it keeps you alive. Sustenance.
But it also provides delight, right? A sense of cheer, that feeling of a warm meal or sharing food with friends. That's part of it.
And clothing.
It gives us, comeliness, decency, but also beauty, a way to express ourselves appropriately.
What about nature?
Look outside. The green grass, the strong trees, the taste of fruit, they give beauty to our eyes, pleasant
The
smells.
sources mention scripture too, right? Psalm
Yeah.
104.
Yes, wine gladdening the heart, oil making the face shine. It shows a divine appreciation for more than just mere subsistence.
Even things we might think of as luxuries. Gold, silver.
Even those, gold, silver, ivory, marble.
Yeah.
God gave them an inherent loveliness, an attraction beyond just their basic function.
So it's okay for our senses to appreciate that beauty, that pleasantness.
It's not wrong, no.
Uh,
The kind of surprising thing here is that God, the creator, he actually designed these things partly for our enjoyment.
he doesn't just tolerate our pleasure.
He invites us into it,
Yeah.
as long as, it stays aligned with his purposes.
That's a really interesting point, that God intends delight. It counters that idea that being pious means constant deprivation.
It does.
But okay, if God does intend for us to enjoy these gifts, how do we know where the line is? How do we stop that delight from becoming, well, destructive excess?
And that leads us straight into what the sources call the double danger.
Double danger.
Yeah, the path of using earthly things. It's slippery. You can easily fall off on one side or the other. Two main errors.
Okay, what's the first one?
On one side, you have what's called mistaken strictness,
Think excessive asceticism.
like monks in a desert.
Sort of. It comes about when people see all the crazy self-indulgence in the world, the excess, and they react by swinging way too far the other way.
Setting up really severe limits.
Exactly. Believing you should only use physical goods when absolutely necessary. Reducing life to almost nothing. Plain bread, water.
The sources say that's obsolete.
Far too severe. And more than that, it actually fetters consciences more tightly than does the word of the Lord, which is a dangerous thing to do. Binding consciences where God hasn't.
Precisely. There are historical examples like Crates the Theban, a cynic philosopher.
What did you do?
Story goes, he threw all his stuff into the sea. Why? Because he was afraid his possessions would destroy him if he didn't destroy them first.
Wow, that's extreme.
It is. It reflects a view that material things are somehow inherently bad or corrupting.
But our sources say that mindset.
It malignantly deprives us of the lawful fruit of God's beneficence. It can even rob a man of all his senses and degrade him to a block.
Reducing our humanity.
Yeah, it mistakes the creation itself for the problem instead of our misuse of it.
Okay, so one danger is this unbiblical, joyless strictness. What's the other side of this double danger?
The other side is mistaken laxity, or, as the sources put it, licentious indulgence.
So basically letting loose completely.
Pretty much. Unbridled, unrestrained pursuit of pleasure, of gratification. Some people look for excuses for the unrestrained cravings of the flesh.
Trying to justify just doing whatever feels good.
Right. They might argue, oh, we have freedom in external things. It shouldn't be limited by rules, just leave it to my conscience.
But the sources push back on that.
They do. They clarify that while, yeah, our consciences aren't banned by rigid, super-specific legal formulas.
Scripture does give us general rules.
Exactly. General rules for lawful use. And these rules set boundaries for our conduct. They act as a curb against the lust of the flesh.
Which, if you don't keep it in check...
It just overflows.
Yeah.
Without measure.
Yeah.
So what we're really aiming for is that balanced path.
Not depriving ourselves of God's good gifts.
But also not letting them become idols that lead us away.
Using them within the wise boundaries God himself has set.
That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
2, guarding against misuse. Gratitude and an eternal perspective.
That distinction between the two dangers, strictness and laxity, that's really helpful. Okay, so if we're trying to walk this balanced path, what's the internal compass? What keeps us steered away from those extremes?
How do we avoid slipping into either joyless austerity or just unchecked indulgence?
Yeah.
Well, our sources point to something really fundamental. A core principle. Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yes. It says a primary way to check those urges of the flesh is to really get this clear in your head. All things were created for us that we might recognize the author and give thanks for his kindness toward us.
So understanding the purpose behind the gift.
Exactly. That understanding acts as a fundamental bridle against just wanting more and more. It shifts your focus from just consuming.
To actively acknowledging the giver. Gratitude.
And this isn't just some, nice theological idea. It gives you a powerful, practical way to check yourself.
How so? Give me an example.
Okay, consider this. Where's your Thanksgiving if indulging in, say, a huge feast or lots of wine makes you dull, makes you useless for your duties?
Duties of faith, or even just your regular responsibilities in your calling.
Right. Like if that big dinner party leaves you too sluggish the next day to pray or study or even just do your job well.
Yeah.
Can you honestly say you recognize the giver in that indulgence?
That's convicting.
Or think about this. If excess causes your flesh to, as the source puts it, boil over into base cravings, if it infects your mind with impurity so you can't discern what's right or spiritual,
Where's the recognition of God then?
Exactly. It's easy for material excess to cloud your judgment, right? Make you less sensitive to spiritual things.
What about clothing? You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, same principle. If your clothes, instead of just being modest and comfortable, start leading to self-admiration.
Making you look down on others who have less.
Or worse, if your focus on appearance is actually preparing you for uh, disgraceful actions. Where's the gratitude in that?
So the sources warn our minds shouldn't get consumed by earthly delights or material splendor.
Because it hinders our ability to see clearly, to discern what's right, what's spiritual. Paul puts it bluntly.
Romans 13.
Yeah. Make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires.
Which isn't about denying legitimate needs or appetites.
No, it's about actively choosing not to set up situations where your sinful desires are likely to just run wild.
Because if you give them too much leeway...
They'll just overwhelm you. They boil up like a flood breaking through. No measure, no control.
Okay, so gratitude is a key guardrail. What else helps?
Well, building on that, there's maybe an even more direct path to living rightly.
Which is...
Cultivating a contempt of the present life and focusing your thoughts on heavenly immortality.
Contempt of the present life. That sounds pretty harsh.
It can sound that way, yeah. But it doesn't mean hating life or checking out.
So what does it mean?
It means seeing this present life for what it is, temporary, flawed, imperfect, and holding it in the right perspective compared to the eternal, perfect life to come.
Seeing the relative value?
Exactly. This perspective is crucial because it helps you detach in a healthy way from worldly things. It helps you truly orient yourself toward your ultimate destination.
Like that traveler again, packing light because they know where their real home is.
Precisely. And from this mindset, this pilgrim mindset, two really vital rules come out for how we live and use the world.
Okay, 2 rules. What's the first?
First rule, use this world as if not using it. We touched on this earlier with Paul.
Right.
And this attitude, it applies broadly to everything. Your marriage, buying property, eating, drinking, how you manage your possessions.
Maintaining that sense of detachment.
Yes. Preventing earthly things from diverting you or hindering your thoughts about the heavenly life or stopping your zeal to cultivate your soul.
So this posture directly fights against what? Gluttony.
Gluttony, yeah.
Yeah.
Spending too much on houses or clothes.
Yeah.
Unchecked ambition, pride, arrogance, even being overly fussy about minor comforts.
It's so easy to get caught up in chasing the next thing, isn't it?
Totally. Chasing trends, pursuing more and more, only to find yourself spiritually exhausted. This rule acts like a constant reminder, a reorientation.
Keep your eyes on the prize.
Basically. You know, this echoes some ancient wisdom, too, like Cato.
The Roman statesman.
Yeah. He apparently observed there is great care about dress, but great carelessness about virtue.
People fussing over their clothes but neglecting their character. Ouch.
Right. The sources press us to ask, are we more concerned with how shiny our shoes are than the state of our soul?
Spending more time curating our online image than cultivating actual virtue.
That's the kind of question it raises. So this rule, use this world as if not using it, it's not about self-denial just for the sake of it.
It's about prioritizing what lasts over what fades.
Making sure our temporary choices don't overshadow our eternal purpose.
That's challenging, but also, yeah, kind of liberating. Seeing contempt for this life as a way to actually live it properly with the right perspective. Okay, what's the second rule from this pilgrim mindset?
The second rule is about learning to bear poverty peaceably and abundance moderately.
Handling both ends of the spectrum well.
Exactly. For those with limited means, it means patiently doing without, not giving into this immoderate, consuming longing for things you don't have.
And the sources see this as a real sign of spiritual growth.
A significant indicator, yes. They say that someone who hasn't made at least some progress here, well, they have scarcely anything to show for being a disciple of Christ.
Wow. Strong words.
It really tests where your contentment lies. Is it tied to your circumstances or rooted in something deeper?
Makes sense.
And think about the practical side. Someone who bears poverty impatiently, always complaining, always wanting more.
They'll likely misuse abundance if they ever get it.
Probably. The source says they'll betray a contrary disease. If you can't handle humble conditions without bitterness, you likely won't handle wealth with grace.
Like the person who hates simple food.
Will probably abuse fancy food if it comes along.
Mm.
Because their desire isn't really for the sustenance or gratitude to the giver, it's for the experience, the indulgence.
Or someone ashamed of simple clothes.
Will probably boast about expensive clothes if they get them. Because their satisfaction comes from the outward display, not inner peace.
Who's the example for this? Paul again?
Paul's the prime example here, Philippians 4:1, right? He says he learned the secret of being content in any and every situation.
How to be filled and to hunger, to abound and to suffer want.
That remarkable adaptability, that contentment no matter the external circumstances, that's a hallmark of a life lived with this eternal perspective.
It frees you from being ruled by your circumstances.
It really does. It shows your satisfaction comes from a source beyond what you happen to possess or lack at any given moment. 3. Stewardship and accountability. Managing God's entrusted gifts.
Okay, so we've got gratitude as the compass, this pilgrim mindset setting the direction. But how do we actually handle the stuff God gives us? What's the framework for interacting with it day to day?
Right, the nuts and bolts.
And here's a really crucial understanding that comes through in the sources. Scripture gives us a clear guideline.
Which is
All blessings, everything we have, possessions, abilities, time, they're given by God's kindness. They're meant for our benefit. But here's the key part, the part we often forget.
they're entrusted to us.
Exactly. They aren't just ours to do whatever we want with. We are stewards.
And stewards have to give an account.
We must one day render account of them. That phrase from Luke's gospel, render account of your stewardship, should be constantly ringing in our ears.
So we're not the ultimate owners. We're managers, responsible managers of what God has given.
That applies to everything, right? Your money, your time, your talents.
Even your physical body, your relationships, it's all, in a sense, on loan, a trust from God.
And we're accountable for how we use it. That perspective, it really changes how you see your resources.
Definitely. When you think about buying something, it's not just, can I afford this?
It becomes, how does using what God has entrusted to me in this way align with his purposes?
It brings this sense of purpose and responsibility to even small, mundane decisions.
It's like managing a big estate for someone else. You have access to the resources.
But you manage them according to the owner's wishes, knowing you'll have to report back on how you handled everything.
And since the Lord requires this accounting.
He also points us towards certain virtues he approves of and vices he rejects in how we use these gifts.
Okay, what virtues does he commend?
The sources list abstinence, sobriety, frugality, and moderation.
Let's unpack those a bit. Abstinence.
Self-control in consumption. Knowing when enough is enough, when to say no.
Sobriety.
Clear-headedness, not letting anything cloud your mind or dull your spiritual senses. Keeping perspective.
Frugality. Sounds a bit old-fashioned.
Maybe, but it just means simplicity. Avoiding waste, unnecessary extravagance, using resources wisely.
And moderation.
A balanced use of everything. Not too much, not too little. Finding that middle ground.
So these virtues help us live thoughtfully, purposefully with what we have.
Right. They cultivate that steward's mindset.
And on the flip side, what does he reject?
He rejects excess, pride, ostentation, and vanity.
Kind of the opposites of the virtues.
Exactly. Excess is that immoderate indulgence, taking more than you need or what's good for you.
Pride.
Self-admiration, looking down on others, often fueled by possessions or status.
Ostentation.
Showiness, using what you have just to impress people or puff yourself up.
And vanity.
Superficiality, being preoccupied with outward appearances over inner character.
So these vices, they pull us away from God's purpose for his gifts.
Yeah, they turn blessings into burdens. Useful tools become idols.
It's about recognizing God's gifts are meant to honor him.
Not just feed our own desires or make us look good. This framework really gives us clear signposts for living wisely.
It's clear that our personal conduct, how we use things ourselves, is central. But you mentioned something earlier about distribution, joined with love. How does that fit in?
Ah, yes, that's a critical point. Stewardship isn't just about me and my consumption.
It extends outwards.
Definitely.
Yeah.
God approves no other distribution of good things than one joined with love.
So how we share what we have, how we use our resources to benefit others, that has to be driven by genuine love.
Right. It's not just about avoiding excess for my own sake, but about how my resources can be a blessing to those around me, reflecting God's own generosity.
So stewardship includes helping neighbors, supporting the community.
Using what we have to show love in practical ways. It broadens the whole concept. It means asking, how can what I've been given be used to express God's love?
And there was another warning, too, about delights that cloud the mind.
Yes, the sources say God condemned with his own lips all delights that draw man's spirit away from chastity and purity or befog his mind.
A strong warning.
It is. It means our choices about earthly pleasures, they shouldn't lead us into moral compromise or dull our spiritual clarity.
So if some form of entertainment, even if it seems harmless, consistently leads your thoughts astray,
Or dulls your spiritual senses, it falls under this condemnation.
it's not about arbitrary rules then.
No, it's about recognizing the real spiritual impact of our choices, how they affect our relationship with God and our ability to live purely.
So this whole idea is stewardship, accountability, distribution, joined with love.
It really fosters a deep contentment, doesn't it? And resilience.
How so?
Well, it pushes you towards relying more on God than on your stuff. When you truly grasp that everything is a trust from Him and you're accountable.
It encourages careful management and generosity.
Right. It moves you away from a self-serving mentality towards thinking about how your choices reflect God's character and benefit others,
It helped you appreciate what you have.
while holding it lightly. Knowing its ultimate source and purpose, it's a total shift from just acquiring things to responsibly deploying them for God's glory and neighbor's good. 4, the Lord's calling, the foundation for purposeful living.
That leads us nicely into what I think is one of the most foundational ideas for living a purposeful life, especially in Reformed thought. The Lord's calling.
Absolutely crucial.
Our sources state it so clearly. The Lord bids each one of us in all life's actions to look to his calling.
And calling here isn't some fuzzy, vague feeling.
No, it's defined pretty concretely as the particular way of life, or like a sentry post that God assigns to each person.
A sentry post, I like that image. Standing guard in your assigned place,
Yeah.
not wandering off.
Exactly. And this concept, this calling, it stops us from just drifting aimlessly through life or acting thoughtlessly.
It gives a divine framework for our daily lives, provides direction, meaning,
The sources point out that God knows us, right? He knows how restless human nature is.
how fickle we can be, wanting to do a million things at once, often without a clear goal.
Prone to ambition that makes us overstep our bounds, causing chaos.
So to prevent life from getting completely turned topsy-turvy by our own, foolishness and rashness,
He appoints duties, specific duties for each person in their specific way of life, and he calls these callings.
it's actually a really merciful structure. It stops people from constantly trying to go beyond their proper limits.
It means whether you're a baker, a teacher, a parent, an artist, whatever you do.
Your work, your place in life, when you see it through this lens, it's divinely appointed.
That gives a stability, a clarity that just human reasoning can't provide on its own.
And this concept of calling, it's described as in everything the beginning and foundation of well-doing.
The starting point for doing good.
Yeah. Without orienting ourselves by our calling, the sources say we just can't stay on the straight path in our duties.
And this reveals something really profound about how God judges things, doesn't it? Compared to how we might judge them.
Oh, absolutely. All our actions, they're judged in God's sight based on our calling. And that judgment can be very different from how human reason or philosophy sees things.
Give us an example.
Well, the sources mention this. Even acts that seem noble to us, like maybe a private citizen trying to take down a tyrant.
That could seem heroic from a human standpoint.
Right. But it's condemned by the heavenly judge if it's outside that person's appointed calling.
You mean like David and Saul?
Exactly like David and Saul. David had multiple chances to kill King Saul, who was actively trying to kill him.
From a human view, it might have seemed justified. Self-defense, even righteous.
But David refused. Why? Because Saul was God's anointed king. It wasn't David's calling his place to raise his hand against him.
Even though Saul was behaving badly.
Even then, it shows that God values obedience to his appointed structure, his order, even more than what might look like a brave or good deed to us, if that deed is done outside our proper role.
So anything not directed by our calling, even if it looks great to us,
Will be rejected before God's throne. That's the sobering reality. The most impressive human achievement, if it's outside the bounds of your God-given role, it just doesn't count in the final analysis.
Wow, that's a powerful distinction. God judges actions not just by how they look, but by whether they align with our specific calling. Okay, so what are the practical results when someone actually lives guided by this idea of calling?
Well, first, life becomes best ordered. It brings a kind of harmony to everything.
How so?
It stops a person from constantly trying to do more than their calling allows, because they know it's not right, not their place, to go beyond those limits.
It breeds contentment then, instead of restless ambition.
Exactly. Someone in maybe an obscure position, a less glamorous job, They can live that private life without complaining. They accept the place God has given them without constantly resenting it or trying to leave their rank inappropriately.
That must offer huge relief. Relief from that constant pressure to be more, do more, achieve more than maybe God intends for you right now.
It allows for real peace in your current situation. And this knowledge that God is our guide in all our duties, it provides, as the source says, no slight relief from cares, labors, troubles, and other burdens.
Makes sense. How does that play out?
Think about it. A magistrate, a ruler, performs their job willingly, not driven by ego, but by knowing God assigned them this role.
Or a parent.
A head of a household embraces their duties, patiently puts up with the discomforts, the anxieties. Why? Because they're persuaded God himself laid this burden, this responsibility on them.
It brings this deep sense of purpose, contentment. Every task, even the small mundane ones, become part of something bigger, divinely sanctioned.
It's not just punching a clock. It's fulfilling a divine appointment.
And there's a really comforting thought that comes out of this too, right? About seemingly lowly tasks.
Oh, this is perhaps one of the most encouraging parts. No task will be so sordid and base, provided you obey your calling in it, that it will not shine and be reckoned very precious in God's sight.
Let that sink in. No task is too sordid or base if you're doing it as part of your calling.
It shines. It's considered precious by God himself.
So every honest task, every humble duty, sweeping floors, changing diapers, writing code, driving a truck.
If it's done in faithful obedience to your God-assigned role, it has divine approval. It has immense worth.
It elevates the ordinary, makes it extraordinary.
It transforms the daily grind into something sacred. This might be the most liberating insight we've discussed. Your daily tasks, done within your calling, they aren't just valuable. They are precious in God's sight. Outro.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. What have we really gained from this deep dive into Reformed thinking on these matters?
Well, we've seen that living faithfully in this world means steering clear of those extremes, right? The harsh, joyless asceticism on one side.
And the reckless, uncontrolled indulgence on the other.
Yeah. It calls for a life that's really marked by gratitude. Seeing God's gifts, not just for basic necessity, but also for delight.
From the food we eat to the beauty around us.
And it means holding these earthly things lightly, remembering we're pilgrims, travelers, heading towards that heavenly city.
Making sure these blessings help us, or at least don't hinder us on that journey.
And maybe the bedrock of it all is adhering to our divine calling, finding purpose, finding worth in every single task God has set before us.
Knowing He's placed us exactly where we are right now for His good purpose.
And remember, this isn't just abstract theology. It gives you real principles for your everyday life.
How you handle your money, your time, your responsibilities.
Ask yourself, does my use of earthly blessings actually foster gratitude in my heart? Does it lead to spiritual clarity, to contentment?
Or does it pull me away? Am I living within the limits God has set? Am I finding joy and meaning in my specific calling, whatever that might be?
Because that perspective, seeing life as a pilgrimage and seeing every calling as something watched over, hallowed by God's gaze, it changes everything.
It really does. It means the simplest acts, the most hidden things done in obedience,
Can hold a kind of magnificence that totally outshines the most famous human achievements done outside of God's direction.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. What might shift in how you perceive your daily tasks, maybe even the ones you dislike?
If you started viewing them through this prism of God's calling for you, what new satisfaction, what different kind of joy might you uncover in the ordinary moments of your life?